Hey everyone, welcome back. So we have been journeying through the story of God's people returning to Jerusalem after 70 long years in Babylon. It's an epic tale of homecoming, rebuilding, and facing some serious opposition. Today we're diving into Ezra chapters 3 and 4, and let me tell you, it's a roller coaster of emotions. Imagine this, you've been away from home for your entire life. Your parents and grandparents told you stories of your homeland, of the temple, of the way things used to be. Now you're finally back. The city is in ruins, but it's home. What's the very first thing you do? Well, for the returning exiles, the answer was clear. Before they even thought about building their own houses, before they sorted out the city streets, they came together as one. Their top priority was to rebuild the altar of the God of Israel. This wasn't just a pile of stones. It was the heart of their worship. It was a declaration that God was once again at the center of their lives and their community. They started offering burnt offerings, just like the law of Moses commanded. They were re-establishing their relationship with God, right there in the middle of the rubble. And they did this because, the text says, they were terrified of the people around them. They knew they were alone in the land, and building this altar was an act of faith and dependence on God for protection. Then they celebrated the Festival of Tabernacles, living in temporary shelters to remember how God provided for their ancestors in the wilderness. It was a powerful reminder that God was still their provider. With the altar in place, they started gathering materials to rebuild the temple itself. They hired masons and carpenters and paid for cedar logs to be brought all the way from Lebanon, just like King Solomon did for the first temple. The excitement was building. When the foundation of the temple was finally laid, it was a huge moment. The priests put on their special garments, blew their trumpets, and the Levites clashed their cymbals. They sang praises to the Lord, chanting, "He is good. His love toward Israel endures forever." Everyone shouted with joy. It was a massive celebration. But amidst the cheers, there was another sound, weeping. The older people, the ones who had seen Solomon's magnificent temple before it was destroyed, wept loudly. They were overjoyed to see the foundation laid, but they were also heartbroken, remembering the glory of what was lost. So you have this incredible scene of joy and sorrow mingling together, shouts of praise and sounds of weeping so loud they could be heard from far away. It's a real and raw picture of what it's like to rebuild after loss. Now, you'd think everyone would be happy about this, right? A city being rebuilt, people returning to their faith. But that's where chapter 4 throws a wrench in the works. The local people, who had been living in the land, came to the leaders. They said, "Hey, let us help you build. We worship your God too." On the surface, this sounds like a nice offer. But the Jewish leaders saw right through it. These people didn't truly worship the Lord. They mixed their worship with all sorts of other gods. Their involvement would compromise the whole project. So the leaders, Zerubbabel and Jeshua, said a firm no. They told them, "It's not for you to build a temple to our God. We alone will build it for the Lord, the God of Israel." And that's when the friendly facade dropped. The opposition got real. These enemies of Judah and Benjamin, as the Bible calls them, did everything they could to stop the work. They discouraged the people, made them afraid to build, and even hired counselors to work against them and frustrate their plans. They wrote letters of accusation to the new kings of Persia, twisting the truth and claiming the Jews were rebuilding a rebellious city that would cause trouble for the empire. They lied, saying that if Jerusalem was rebuilt, the Jews would stop paying taxes, tribute, and duty, and the royal revenue would suffer. And sadly, their smear campaign worked. The king was persuaded. He issued an order to stop the construction immediately. The enemies rode to Jerusalem and forced the Jews to stop building by force and power. And just like that, the work on the house of God came to a grinding halt. It's a tough cliffhanger, isn't it? After all that initial excitement and hope, the project is shut down by fear, lies, and political maneuvering. It shows us that following God's call isn't always easy. There will be opposition. But as we'll see, this isn't the end of the story. God's plans can't be stopped that easily. Thanks for joining me for this part of the story. It's a powerful reminder that even in the face of setbacks, God is in control. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. See you in the next video.